The era that we went to work somewhere and punched a time clock and put a round peg into a round hole and did it for 20 or 30 years. You know, I know a lot of people now that retired through that system and they're doing fantastic, but to be able to enter that system today, it's not going to work. We're in the midst of a shift in American business and how things are done. It's not American, it's worldwide. And we're not seeing it because it's happening right in front of us. But you can go on to Google, TED Talks, you can get a lot more information. And I'm still doing a lot of homework on it myself because it's hard to understand. We're living through it. Later, there's going to be books written about that shift. We're in the middle of that shift right now. The concept of having 1,000 workers and having the bosses and then having the owner, that whole pyramid, I've talked about this before, that pyramid's turning upside down. You're not going to be able to benefit from that or understand it if you don't start studying it and realizing it, what it's going to take to be part of that. Going out today and getting a job, I'm not going to turn people away from it and saying don't get a job, but while you're getting your job and working your job, you need to realize you got to be planning the future even though we live in the present. What's changing drastically is how we think and how we see things and the massive amount of information that's at our fingertips. This is what's creating the concept of what's going to change. And it's the concept of how people have gotten through their life without having to really learn something from the past. And this is hard to put into words. The best way is our school system where you're allowed to pass to the next grade, but you didn't quite get it. Well, how are you going to do better or good at all in the next one if you didn't quite get the last one? I would love to be able to claim credit for this thought process, but it actually goes back about 100 years. It's mastery thinking is one of the terms, but when you Google that, you come up with other stuff. So it's probably going to be labeled as something else, but you're going to start hearing about it in the near future, how this old concept is starting to evolve today because we now have the technology to put it into place, and it all depends on how you think. The old workforce and what we're shifting into and what it's going to be, you know, the concept of saying that that's the future, that's not. It was like 4 years ago. It's already starting. We've got to get caught up with it. Or we're going to be one of the people that just says, oh, well, it would have been nice to get a hold of that back when it started, like stocks or something. It's happening now. The concept is tough to explain and probably harder to understand because it hasn't happened yet, although it has happened yet. I wrote a couple of kids' books last year, and I put them through Amazon. I wasn't looking at publishing them and printing millions. I just wanted, it was a goal. I wanted to have a published book. So I made some kids' books, and I put them through Amazon system. And you'll have to go do your own homework to correct me on the details of exactly how this process works, but it's something like this. You go to Amazon shopping cart and you say, I want this, you put it in your cart, and as soon as you actually place the order, a signal goes to a press in North Carolina. That signal is a code number that identifies this book. That tells the press that it's a 7x7, has this kind of cover, this many pages. Now it tells it we're going to go to Tower 14, that's what's set up for that kind of book. It knows what's supposed to be printed. It prints it as you're still signing out of your shopping cart, really, and getting the confirmation email from them. This press is rolling, and a book spits out the other end, goes into an envelope that my label's already on with my address, and it's out to chute number 17 that goes to the nearest truck that's going to get it to my house within 2 days on their Prime service. Not one person touched it. And we're saying, what's going to happen to jobs? Well, that job only paid $7 an hour. That person was starving trying to feed their kids. This is actually a good thing. We just don't realize what's happening. But if you learn about it and learn how to think more like an entrepreneur would think, you're going to have a massive advantage against what's not just coming, what's here now.